Mumbai Police Commissioner Rakesh Maria has been shunted out from the top post and transferred as DG Homeguard. In fact, the big question that now arises, is this a fallout of his personal attention to the high-profile Sheena Bora murder case? Remember, Rakesh Maria questioned the accused in the case himself. The visuals of Maria at Khar police station to grill Indrani Mukherjee, Sanjeev Khanna and the driver were all over television screens since their arrest. But what makes the transfer more suspect is that the Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis went on record to say that Maria should look at other cases too and not give his entire attention to the Sheena case. Maria's transfer has been announced unexpectedly more than 3 weeks before his tenure as the Mumbai Commissioner was to end. The order promoting him as Director General Homeguard is effective immediately. Ahmed Javed, who is currently the DG Homeguard, has been appointed the new Mumbai Police Commissioner. Interestingly, Javed is a 1980 batch IPS officer, a year senior to Maria, and had been denied the commissioner's post in February 2014. Javed had subsequently gone on leave before taking over as the DG. Let me now go across to Managing Editor, India Today, Vinay Tiwari, joining us with the very latest. Vinay, first of all, help us understand this whole, interchanging of designations, positions that we are seeing. Does it augur well even for the government at this point, when we are in fact seeing a high-profile case being handled by Rakesh Maria, or rather was being handled by Rakesh Maria, right or wrong?
Yes, I think, Maha, the real issue in this case seems to have been the timing in which this was done. Remember, there is a 2-year fixed tenure that commissioners have in cities like Delhi and Mumbai.
Yes.
And that 2-year period would have ended by the end of this month. Very obviously, the fact that the government chose to effect this transfer with immediate effect, in many ways some would say an elevation upstairs, it just suggests that there is more to it than meets the eye. Obviously, on record, nobody, not a single officer, including the Home Secretary of Maharashtra, who we spoke to, would ever concede that it's nothing but a routine transfer. But the transfer has come barely 3 days after the Chief Minister expressed deep unhappiness, or rather some unhappiness, over the fact that the Commissioner was himself sitting in police stations and leading investigation, sending a message that this is perhaps the only case which is happening in Mumbai and not many others. It's not one of the many other murders. So I think the timing is the question. Very obviously, on record, nobody is accepting it. But the honest truth is that that will be read as more than just a routine transfer. It will be read as a situation where the government was obviously not happy at the current commissioner, either not leading the investigation personally or by spending too much time on it, Maha.
And Vinay, this certainly will not be seen as an elevation then.
Well, police postings are really about the stature of a post.
Yes.
So while a DGP level post may be senior in terms of the hierarchy and ranking in the IPS, in the cadre system, the fact is that the Commissioner of Mumbai Police is perhaps the most coveted post in Maharashtra, apart from the DGP of Maharashtra. In fact, sometimes people believe that is more coveted than the DGP of Maharashtra as well. Mumbai Police Commissioners are very high profile. They're always in the limelight, and they control a city which is perhaps one of the most powerful in Delhi, in India, outside of Delhi, Maha.
Also, Vinay, help us understand that, in a situation like this, will the government come out and perhaps clarify after so much of a controversy has been created? Rakesh Maria had also given an interview to a publication saying that he wants to perhaps file a charge sheet in the case before the 30th of September. That is when his tenure was officially ending.
Well, I think the reports were there, but I would have been very surprised if they can file a charge sheet in a complicated murder case in 20 days. That's very unprecedented. It never really happens. So that would not have happened, number one. Number two, remember that filing of charge sheet is also a strategic decision by the police, because the minute you file the charge sheet, the accused are eligible to apply for regular bail. And sometimes the police forces delay the charge sheet filing till the last possible day, which is the 90 days, so that the accused can be kept inside jail for that long. So I don't think that charge sheet would have been filed in this month, number one. Number two, I also don't think that this case's investigation or the quality investigation will get affected just because the commissioner has been transferred. The investigation is actually done by officers which are much lower in rank, sometimes at the rank of senior inspector, which is an ACP in other city police forces. So I don't see the case getting affected. But yes, one other thing, Maha, which is very important to remember, both Ahmed Javed and Rakesh Maria are pretty fine officers. They have a very illustrious background. They have a very fine record. Ahmed Javed, the man who's taking over from Rakesh Maria, is a very accomplished officer. He enjoys a very good good reputation in the force. He's considered a very no-nonsense and a very straightforward guy. So I think the question is not on merit here at all. I think it's the timing and perhaps the reason why the government has been slightly upset over the way Rakesh Maria personally handled the case and was perhaps the only man in the limelight in this case. Remember, no other officer has done any briefing in this case except the commissioner himself. Every time he's been the face of this case.
Right, Vinay, stay on with us. Senior editor Sahil Joshi is also joining us with more details from Mumbai. Sahil, first of all, any reaction, even off the record, is Rakesh Maria talking about this swapping? All right, we seem to have lost our link with Sahil. Let me go back to Vinay Tiwari. Vinay, is it unusual for the Commissioner of Police to take deep interest in one particular case like we've seen Rakesh Maria do so?
Well, see, there are two ways in which we can look at it, Maha, and I think it's very important that viewers understand this. You cannot fault a police commissioner for leading an investigation personally. I mean, that somewhere some would suggest an officer is leading from the front and he's actually willing to stake his own credibility in a case where he's leading it from the front. So that's one way of looking at it. The second and a more factual interpretation is this, Maha. In all our experience of having covered this area, I can tell you that it happens not very often that a commissioner himself sits in a police station for hours and hours, several days for a murder. It's unusual, it's not unprecedented, it has happened in the past, but it is unusual. There aren't too many cases where you will find a city police chief actually doing investigations, interrogations himself. And I think that is where some of the questions have been raised on why is it that a commissioner is needed to investigate or interrogate the accused personally for several hours on a day in a situation where the city is actually preparing itself for a very high security event like Ganpati. The festival season in Bombay is a very stressful period for any police force. And at that point of time, for him to be spending 10 to 12 hours every day at the car police station was something people did raise questions over.
Right, Vinay, do stay on with us. We're getting some breaking news. Now, the NCP is alleging that there is a money laundering angle involved and behind Rakesh Maria's transfer. NCP alleges that the Chief Minister transferred Maria to suppress this angle. All right, Nawab Malik is joining us on the phone line. Sir, first of all, this accusation that is coming forth, is this specifically with regard to the Sheena Bora murder case, or is it some other case that you all are talking about?
In this Sheena Bora murder case, Mr. Devendra ji has spoken to some media people. There are more important cases than this case. The murder mystery is solved. So who has murdered, it is clear. DNA test is there. Yesterday, jail custody was given by the court to the Indrani Mukherjee as well as driver. After that, the investigation was going on with Peter Mukherjee. It is the case of 500 crore rupees. It is laundered by the sum of the investors through Singapore, US, UK and Mauritius. It is the clear-cut case of money laundering, and Chief Minister has taken a decision. Premature transfer and promotion has been given to shut this kind of a case, and money laundering issue should not be there in this case. That's
sir, I want to interrupt you, sir. On one point that you're saying it is an open and shut case, it's clear who's murdered Sheena Bora. Let me point out that the police has still not been able to establish the motive behind the murder. Now, if you all are making an allegation of this nature, it's a serious allegation. Is this just an off-the-cuff remark, or is there evidence that you all can produce?
This is the decision made by the Devendra Fadnavis. The indication was given by Devendra ji to the commissioner that there are more cases are very important. That means you don't take interest in this case. This is not only the case of murder. The motive behind the case is murder, maybe some other. But from where INX Media got 500 crore rupees, who are the investors, which country is involved, from which country this money was laundered, this is all the issue. This should be investigated. I think this is the only reason, under pressure of Delhi, some BJP leaders, this decision was made by Mr. Devendra ji. Whether he is gone to Japan after he is coming back, this kind of an answer should be, we will going to ask him,
all right,
why you have taken this decision 22 days earlier.
All right. Many thanks, Mr. Nawab Malik, for speaking with India Today. So clearly, the NCP is now alleging that there is another motive behind the shunting out of Rakesh Maria from the post of the Police Commissioner of Mumbai. Let me go across to Senior Editor Sahil Joshi, who's back with us. Sahil, first of all, this accusation that is now coming forth from the NCP, was that ever an angle that the police was looking at?
See, as far as murder case is concerned, because yesterday when I spoke to Rakesh Maria, he was telling us that this is a murder case. It's not a EOW investigation. That is, this is not an economic offences wing investigation that they have to go through all the financial details and all that. But though the remand copy, today's Sanjeev Khanna's remand copy, does mention that the financial transactions of the accused are a little bit complicated, and that's why they want to go deeper into it and want to understand how these transactions have happened. Now, why they have gone into the financial transaction is because finally when they will file the charge sheet, they will have to come up with a motive, and while come up with the motive, they do not want to leave any stone unturned regarding this particular investigation. As far as the murder case is concerned, the whole investigation is over. Now, what NCP is saying, see, NCP's accusation has no basis at this point of time. It was very clear from Chief Minister's remark in the beginning of this case that there are so many important cases. So that was a clear message to the Mumbai Police Commissioner that you are wasting too much of time in one particular case.
That's right.
You are spending too much of time in one particular case. As Vinay was rightly mentioning, that there are not many incidences like this. I mean, he was spending literally 9 hours in the Khar police station interrogating Peter Mukherjee, Indrani, Sanjeev Khanna, and the media attention was too much.
Yes.
He stopped going there. Again, yesterday he went to the Khar police station and spent around 4 to 5 hours there. And that is the time when Chief Minister decided, okay, now we will have to do something about that. And then Rakesh Maria, anyway, he was due for the promotion. He was given the promotion and he was shunted out.
All right, Deputy Editor Atir Khan is also now joining us with more details from Mumbai. Atir, any first reactions that we can expect perhaps from Rakesh Maria, or has anybody spoken with him? What is he saying about this swapping of posts between him and Emma Javed?
Well, you see, he is still in the department. You see, he's now been promoted to the DG. So clearly, you know, his stand is clear. As far as investigations are concerned, they're almost over. The money angle, as Sahil was pointing out, is being looked into because that cannot be ignored altogether. What the police believes is that the money angle is important because there are some suspect transactions which took place in the foreign countries, and perhaps they could be looked into. So that is the angle, but so far we haven't had any reaction from Rakesh Maria. We are looking forward to hearing from him on this.
Right. Let me go back to Vinay now. Vinay, you know, can the NCP really push the government on the back foot over this issue, because they are making a serious allegation that the government is trying to cover up a possible money laundering issue behind the murder of Sheena Bora?
Maha, I think there is a very important, subtle point of legality which we must inform our viewers. The allegation of NCP is intellectually inferior, and I'll tell you why it is intellectually inferior. The police is currently investigating the money angle only and only from the point of view of establishing a motive. Police in India does not have the authority to investigate money laundering. Money laundering can only be investigated by the Enforcement Directorate or the Serious Fraud Investigating Office of the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and not the police. Police cannot file a case under PMLA at all. So to suggest that there was a money laundering racket that is not being investigated by the police is inferior in intellectual argument, because you cannot. The police is not allowed to investigate money laundering charges. The only reason why the police can look at financial transaction is to establish fraud or cheating. That's it. They cannot go outside of the purview and ambit of the IPC. The PMLA Act is under the purview of the ED and not the police force at all. So obviously it's a very political statement. They're just making up mileage out of something which they believe could be embarrassing for the government. It's already playing out in the social media. It's playing out in television screens. They just want to ride on this issue, and that's about it.
All right, Vinay Tiwari and Sahil Joshi, many thanks for joining us with those details.